Watch! All right, what is up,
Hey.
everyone? Welcome to the second watch. We got a awesome show set up for you tonight. Got Chubby Funster coming in, going to talk about his new project that Kickstarter's coming on. But as always, we have a few things we got to cover first. Gary, did you get any gaming in? I know you did because you won't stop talking
Holy
about it.
shit. I did. It was so good. I don't want to take a lot of time on it because we have a guest, but it was an example of kind of why this whole West Marches thing can be kind of good sometimes. Had three guys who said they wanted to play a game on Tuesday, and one of them showed up. But because I'm gonna plug this fucking thing, because we introduced Hell March into our game, I had one guy and I said, well, what do you want to do? And he's like, I'm going to hire some mercenaries and I'm going to take care of some business. And I really can't reveal what business he took care of. But it's pretty big. And I'm really excited to see how everybody reacts to it. When's the last time you played D&D with one person, one DM and one player?
Not. I don't think. Well, if you include my kid, that would have been about a year or so
Well,
ago.
yeah. Not
But
counting kids.
But with my Gods of the Forbidden North campaign, which will be running tomorrow, I've instituted one-to-one time and downtime. Cody, who everyone met last week from
What's up,
VentureCon.
Cody?
I
By
don't
the
know if
way,
he's actually watching, but he has been making moves in downtime, and he wants to take his Thieves Guild to take on another Thieves Guild. I'm like, dude, you're like second level. He's like, I don't care. So things are happening. Things are happening in the downtime. Real quick, we got a super chat from Disco Barbarian, $5. Thank you very much, sir.
what's up, Disco?
Yar Dog, brothers and sword sisters, time for the second watch. Keep your steel sharp and your wit sharper. There's a funster about a chubby funster. Indeed, sir. Indeed.
Yes,
Thank you
there
very
is.
much.
So anyway,
But
yeah, I did game. It was something that I probably haven't done since I was a kid. It was a lot of fun. Yeah. So how about you, Matt? Did you get any gaming in this week?
no, because I came back from VentureCon. I had a mountain of work. In fact, I was going to run Shadow Dark module that I've been working on Thursday, but I was just exhausted. So I'm like, we'll do it next Thursday. But at VentureCon, I ran Lair of the Brain Eaters by DM Ridslin. That's a Lamentations module. Fantastic. We had a great time with that. Atmos was in that game. Oh, I need to real quick. I know Atmos's secret identity. Haha.
Next time you see, I don't know why you didn't take a picture. He's like a fucking UFO, man.
We thought about
Right?
taking a picture, but having his face blocked just for you.
Oh God.
But we never got around to it. But yeah, I played that. We played a pickup game randomly. A guy named Bill Allen, I've known for a few years now. A weird mishmash of Shadow Dark and Lamentations of the Flame Princess. By the end of it, people were just trickling into the room late at night Saturday. By the end of the night, he was running like 9 players. It was crazy. I've obviously the highlight for me last week was playing Call of Cthulhu with Sandy Peterson being the lore master. That was just the dude was just like, he had his notes and he was just like, what do you want to do? And what was really cool, it's like when some people finally lost their minds, he didn't even roll on a chart. He's just like, what happens to you? And one player like took on the persona of one of the victims and ran off. And it was funny because Sandy Peterson's like, oh yeah. You have to go and find your wife and children. You better go find them right now. So I'm envisioning this random dude showing up at this house. It's like, hey, wife. And she's like, who are you? Like maybe shoots him, who knows? But it was that was a lot of fun. It was real special getting to meet Sandy Peterson and playing with him. So but yeah, that's what I did last week. All the rest of the week I've been working. So
Sorry, man.
It is
Well,
what it
listen,
is.
we have Chubby waiting. So unless anybody else has anything, I'm seeing some new faces, some new
Yeah, I
names.
think Death Angel Shadow was the guy I was trying to talk to on Tenkar Stafford, and I was dropping links, which I think was a no-no for Tenkar, so I apologize publicly. But I was trying to get people here because they're like, "Oh, you're going to be on the second watch." I'm like, "Oh, that's my channel." But anyway, let's get Chubby
Woo!
in here.
Yeah, let's
Thank
get
you
Chubby
all
in
to all
there.
the new faces. Thank you for stopping by. This is what we do. We just have fun and talk about games and stuff. So,
What's up?
Greg, what's up, man? How you doing?
It's going good.
So about a week ago, maybe a little longer. Well, actually, take that back. At North Texas, you were running around. You had a, I guess, half or three-quarter finished version. There you go, of Shadow City. And I kind of looked at
Still
it and I
had
felt,
gaps in it, like this.
yep, it had gaps in it, and you were showing it to me, and I was really intrigued, but I didn't read a lot into it because you weren't finished, and I want to see the finished work. And then about a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, I received a gift from you, which was an advanced PDF copy of Shadow City. And brother, I thank you. Thank you for doing the work. Um, I was telling Matt before the show that, Shadow Dark is real easy, not just to write for, but it's real easy to publish for. And we keep getting more and more and more Shadow Dark. And I feel like Shadow City is it's a level up. You've taken those core mechanics, you've added a little, you've changed a little, but it's still Shadow Dark, and you've made a whole other game out of it. So good
yeah,
job, man. Tell us
yeah.
a little. What,
Thank you.
tell us
To
what
bounce
were you
off of that,
thinking? Yeah. Oh, go.
just to quickly bounce off of that, I sort of feel like Shadow City and to some extent Shadow Rim is like I mentioned this before he came on the stream, but like I said, I was going to say it publicly. I think it's like the next generation of Shadow Dark material, because everyone wants to write for Shadow Dark, and I think there's there's going to come a point where there's like this critical mass, and so it's time to like break off. So I think you're the first one to do it. It seems to me. So I think you got something really special on your hands. So I think a good starting place for us would be is like, what was your thought process? Like like why vampires, and why Shadow City? But before we even do that, I'm sorry, we got another super chat from Robert Stanton. $5. Thank you so much, Chubby Funster. I guess he's excited that you're here.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Robert in the chats for quite a few live streams. I think, and then a few other channels.
Robert's going to buy the collected Chubby Funster works in slipcase.
Well, that is one of the Kickstarter things, is that the add-ons are going to be half-price PDFs for a bunch of my stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
So real quick, I just want to, because I want to get into Shadow City. I never played Vampire the Masquerade, but I did read it, right? Like I read the lore. I of course was a kid when the Anne Rice novels came out, and don't let anybody tell you they didn't read them. If you read books, you read those fucking books. And then there were the movies, and pretty much there was a sort of vampire pop culture thing happening. Buffy the Vampire Slayer, on and on. Where's this game come from? What's it trying to do? Where's the inspiration from?
Well, I also read Vampire the Masquerade way more than I actually ended up playing. I played in games of Vampire Masquerade, but I read it a lot, like as a book, like a fantastic book. The visuals kind of that, it's second edition really, because the first edition was very short lived, but second edition VTM is kind of the green book that a lot of people know from way back. And I loved it. I really loved the video games. I played Vampire Bloodlines
Yes, yes,
insane
yes.
amount of times, and that
Played the shit out of that
that
game.
really impacted me a lot. But I kind of saw in my lifetime vampire split into, and maybe I'm leaving one out that I'm not really into, but three kind of main branches. There's kind of like a decadent vampire, like the Tom Cruise vampire, you know, that's very refined and been around a long time and got all this pomp about them. And then there's kind of the teen heartthrob type vampire stuff that came out with Twilight and all that.
Sparkly ones, yeah.
Yeah, the sparkly vampires. And then my branch of vampire is like Blade, fighting, attack, melee, brutality, just terrible. You know, there's not a lot of sitting around drinking wine, talking about our plans for the future.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, we're going to go kill that guy. There's going to be a big fight, and I'm going to chop off his head. And that's kind of where I come from. And back, or very early in this year, I hadn't thought about vampire myself in quite some time, with all the stuff I'd been doing with Shadow Sun and Shadow Rim and all this stuff. And something happened where one night, I remember, I have nights like this a few times a year where I'll think of like the seed of an idea, and then I'll kind of roll it around in my head that day. And then when I lay down to try to go to sleep, I cannot go to sleep because my brain is just start like building all the Legos around the idea, like it's exploding out all through my head. And so I had I think 2 or 3 nights where I had a real hard time sleeping because I would just keep building up, because I just saw, whatever happened, I saw that you could apply the framework that she had developed to the neighborhood competition. And I thought about it. I ran it through all sorts of, a lot of Grand Theft Auto impact of, being in, like, if you remember San Andreas, like controlling neighborhoods, and you're going to go into this other guy's neighborhood and fuck them up, but you have to go back and protect your neighborhood, and all these dynamics. And I went through all this stuff in my head, and over like about a 3-day period, I put together almost all the ideas for Shadow City. And then I had it in an outline, and I began doing a little bit on it. And then once the GM Companion and Terra Invictus dropped, I switched over all my like active effort every day trying to pound it out.
Yeah.
And
so
it flowed better than a lot of stuff I've, like even near the end, when I've mentioned publicly, I struggled with the equipment stuff at the treasure at the end, because it was very hard to come up with a bunch of unique $3,000 to $5,000 treasures. It's just challenging, portable treasures. But this has really been a dynamic, just poured out of my head, like that people talk about. The muse hits you, and you're just you knock it out.
Yeah. So we're already, and I knew this was bound to happen, because you say vampire and it's immediately associated with Vampire the Masquerade. And we all know that Vampire the Masquerade, I like Hunter, I like Mage, I like whatever the fuck. So we're already starting to get questions about that. And while I do want to get into that, what I want to know real quick, and I want you to explain, because I saw it right off the bat, this is not a Vampire the Masquerade clone. It's not even, I don't even think you're trying to do it, to do a vampire. I mean, there's
tools, but it's not written that way.
But
there are tools.
Just briefly explain, just kind of mechanically, sort of the themes you were using to differentiate this from Shadow Dark and to make it vampires. What, kind of give us the rundown. What might be familiar, what's probably a little different.
Yeah. So the game has a bloodline system where you get kind of a biological inheritance from the person who turned you into a vampire. And That is mechanically not that heavy. It's heavier than the Ancestry in Shadowdark, but not that much. You get 2 advantages and 1 disadvantage, basically, and the disadvantages are pretty heavy. So if you really think about it, you're really getting 1 advantage, and the other one you're paying for with the real harsh disadvantage. And on top of that, there are classes that represent kind of what you're investing your time in developing in yourself. And so, like, the expert is one of them. And this is somebody who's been putting all their time into technological skills. You know, they might be really good at computers. They might be really good at actual medicine. You know, they might, there's all kinds of things that they could be really good at. The butcher class has been focused on getting really good at killing people, killing vampires, killing supernatural creatures. So, so every class has a thing that you're focused on doing. Now, there's some familiarities between Vampire the Masquerade and Shadow City. And, like, for instance, one of the bloodlines is insanity, right? Mm-hmm. Like Malkavian type insanity. But it's not locked into the history of the Malkavians, and it's not the exact same way that it manifests for the Malkavians. It's the idea that there are some vampires who are just insane.
Yeah.
That is in the game.
Yeah. The sense I got was that the game is, inspired by maybe not Vampire the Masquerade in specific, but more like the subcultural vampire thing that you see in the industry. And there's enough in Shadow City to give a game master sort of like that implied setting, but not so much where they're over, they have 30 years of lore that they have to absorb and be like, who the Malkavians, who are this? Like, and I am that guy who I was familiar with Vampire the Masquerade, but I never read it. I never played it. I was the weirdo actually playing Mage. So
I like Mage better.
Yeah. I love Mage. I was just
Dark Ages Mage. Dark Ages Mage is so good.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good.
Real quick, we got a Rumble rant from Ultra TTRPGer. I will die on the hill that 1E Hunter, The Reckoning, was the only game White Wolf got right. Fuck the in-game politics. Just kill the monsters and kill them good. I respect that position. However, that is not the, World of Darkness way. I'm a big fan of, you mentioned the 3 vampire types. You forgot the 4th one. That's the 30 Days of Night vampire, which is like horribly bestial, monstrous, and scary. That's the vampire I like.
Like a zombie, but yeah.
Yeah, the more ghoulish types.
We had a question about whether it's out. I just dropped the Kickstarter link.
I will put that in the link or in the chat. The Kickstarter. When does the Kickstarter kick off?
On Tuesday. It's going to go. If this is a preview, I can also get you the video. I don't know why it doesn't show the video in the in the very preview page of the thing, but oh well, I don't know why. But here's the video. It's on my YouTube channel, and I can share that out too. The video is really cool. But there is a system within the game that, I'm saying this to try to ease people's concerns that any of the lore and all of the background stuff that they would need to know any of that stuff. It's like on one page and not even the full page. There's a thing for making factions. Basically, the idea is you create like a shared talent, to use the Shadowdark language, right? You have a shared talent that everybody in the, maybe it's a complex talent if it's like the FBI, but it for any organization in the game that's a faction, they can have everybody that's a member of that faction has that talent. So you can use that to create the sorry, I was looking at Death Angel's thing about Acclaim. I have the code to use the music. I paid for it. If anybody has a copyright claim, let me know. But yeah, so you can create you could sit down and recreate every single clan from Masquerade using that faction system and use it in your game if you want it, but it's not built in already. And the big reason for that is that you don't have to know any of that stuff. It's not tied in. Your characters are coming in fresh. Whatever the GM tells you is the situation, that's the situation. You're not going into Forgotten Realms. You're going into Shadowdark, where you're walking in with, it's an implied setting. Whatever the GM builds is what's there. It's not, there's, not a huge pre-made thing.
Yeah, and this is what I appreciate of the game too. And I've said this on various videos I've done, various streams I've been on. I'm not a big fan of brand spanking new systems, especially if it's OSR. Like, we don't need another damn retro clone, right? I want to see how creative you can be as a writer and game designer with what exists and twisting it to create this new system, or new setting, and make that setting come alive mechanically. And we'll be getting into the nitty gritty, because I really like the mechanics in this book that's coming out here, Shadow City. But yeah, like, there's a couple pages. This is what a faction is. You talk about potential princes, right? And then you have those like bloodline lineage things that can give the game master a few ideas to create whatever they want in this like implied setting. And I think you give a lot of you cede a lot of control to the game master, right? I think a lot of people who write are like, oh, this is my campaign world. It's got to have all this stuff in it. And, I think it's like the perfect. Yeah. I mean, I don't mind like some lore, right? But like, yeah, I think you give her the heck they want to do with the Shadow City. And dare I say, and I think you mentioned this,
every setting is different. That when we get into how the neighborhoods are put together, for instance, like you can build it. There's no way that I'm going to roll 10 d20s and you're going to roll 10 d20s and we're going to get the same city. Like,
right?
It's not gonna happen. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And what you even mentioned, I think you might have brought this up on Dundermoose, or maybe you mentioned that you're going to bring it up to him or something. Yeah. You could easily do a Bro SR thing if you really want to do. If you really want to do the Vampire the Masquerade thing, you could do that with this.
Well, I was going to say that I feel like if you're following the book, that's kind of how the game plays. It doesn't necessarily need to be 1-to-1 time or anything like that. But and we can go into we can go into detail, but it is. I was imagining a play-by-text game. Like, I could easily over Discord on my phone have guys, tell me during the day that they were going to spend the next 2 hours hunting. Right? Yep. I could easily. It is a very, when you break it down, if you look at it like an old school procedural game, like the games that I'm into at the moment, you could do that. Yes, absolutely, Dying Breed. You could definitely do this in a procedural manner with the hour turns and be like, hey, every once in a while, hey, we're gonna have a combat. I'll catch you after work, something like that. I think it caters to that, and just in my opinion.
When the first draft that we went to playtest with, I didn't have defined actions necessarily come to the hourly clock at night. It was just like you're on hours, and then if you go to a particular place, it turns into rounds. But it's not just like a lot of people use turns even outside of the dungeon in classic D&D adjudication. Like, I'm going to spend 10 minutes doing this, I'm going to spend 10 minutes doing that, or whatever. It was loosely written. And then the guys in the playtest kept going, well, can I do this in an hour? Can I do that in an hour? And they kept asking me questions. And then I created the list of like, I think it's like 4 defined things. Hunting was its own already defined thing, so it's fine. Yeah. So if you want to patrol your neighborhood, this is how much time you have to devote to that. If you want to hunt, this is it. If you want to scout some enemy position, this is how you do it. And you could turn that into kind of a starting menu of things that a player could send you as downtime activity, and then add things as you need it. You know, they could come up with their own thing. I'm going to spend an hour doing this particular thing. We had a guy in one of the play tests who his cover was that he was a DJ. And so he said he's going to go spend a few hours being a DJ and get a little bit of money. And I was like, okay, that's fine. So he went and spent 2-3 hours doing that. And some crap broke out for the other guys, and he wasn't there because he was off being a DJ. So, you got to work together with your team. Don't split the party. That kind of thing, you know. Yeah.
Well, and I think it also lends itself. It just lends itself to the whole emergent story idea. You don't have to write any kind of bullshit plot, story, timing. The tables are there. You roll the dice. And, you know, if you want to prepare just a little bit, just have some NPCs ready. You know, that's really, I just can't tell you how impressed I am with that.
There's Shadow Dark has them as D100 tables as well, but it's really a D50 table because it's all double entries.
Right.
But the encounter tables fit on one spread, just like in Shadow Dark. It's a 50 item encounter table, and there's 20. There's one for each neighborhood. And even if you were, you know, you only get 10 neighborhoods in your city. So even if you were running out of stuff on encounter table, you could use other encounter tables to boost it up in your game, and almost limitless time you could run encounters. And we had one in the playtest where I rolled up that there was a celebrity that was trying to get their naughty pictures back from a paparazzi person as something that the vampires were kind of stumbling into. And I rolled that up randomly. I named her Bitney Deers, and we rolled with it. You know, and they all of a sudden were involved in the drama of Bitney Deers and her effort to get back the naughty pictures from the paparazzi. So it very easily you can add stuff, just like in any OSR game. Just add things through random tables if you aren't prepared for whatever they do.
Yeah.
Well, what is really nice about Shadow City is that it is consistent with broader sense what Shadow Dark has done with respect to like zero prep play. Looking at some of the game mechanics where like the city generation, neighborhood, all that stuff with, and then like your node mechanic that we definitely need to talk about. Like you could, it would be really easy to just sit down and say, okay, we'll roll up your vampires and let's see what happens tonight. And that is really nice about it. The layout, the whole thing.
Yeah, that is. And I'm not a no prep guy. I like a little bit of prep. But the world does operate off these tables. You know, the world, you really can run an entire campaign. One of the things that kind of blew me away is that just rolling on the table, I could have a year's, maybe more, but a year's worth of games that were at the least minimum prep.
Yep.
I can't say enough good things. It's like you cracked a code. You know, I don't know exactly what, because you did add a few things, a few ingredients that Shadow Dark, you know, for example, the node system, and those kind of things. What do you think is the addition to the game that really sets it apart the most? You know, is it in the game? Is it the game master
neighborhood
stuff,
and the node generations are key, I think. We got a chat from Brian.
What's up? We've been missing you, Brian.
Yeah. Did your ears ringing? Go.
We were talking about you before the stream, bro.
Like, where's he been?
Love you, bro.
$7 from DM Cloaker, our boy Brian. Question for C-Fun. Share the core Shadow Dark design ethos that you held sacred going into Shadow City, and what were some you wanted to expand on or redefine?
Well,
Brian question.
the core ethos for me, there's actually in Shadowdark and in Shadow City, there is a spread that has the core ethos of the game. And I am navigating into it now. So one of them, the first one is time, that there's a very limited amount of time. It's always ticking away. Vampires only have 12 hours a night. If you waste that time, you're going to get screwed. So you have very, very harsh time pressures. Instead of darkness, like in Shadowdark, always pressing on you that this is a constant problem, you have humans as the constant problem. The humans are always pushing you. There's exposure mishaps that are similar to torch mishaps. So if you aren't taking care of things and you roll one of the, a guy just walked around the corner while you were feeding on this person, and now you have a problem. Resources being limited, that's kind of a OSR staple across the board. There's an action economy where you're balancing exploring a location versus engaging in combat. It's not a pure combat game. If you fight everybody, you will get killed. That's true in Shadowdark as well. There's I forget the name of the cat, the one with the ooze in it that's turning all the bricks of the castle into soft stuff. It's one of the starter dungeons in Shadowdark. The first room you walk in, and there's like 12 halflings that are mutated, and if you start a fight, you'll just get killed. So like, it's the same principle. Like if you walk into a room and there's 12 gang members there, think twice. Don't start a fight with these guys. It's a loose simulation where you're not trying to get the exact distances between things. It has the kind of relative distances like in Shadowdark. I actually added one called short, which is like a in between near and far. And I needed short for things like flamethrowers and pistols and stuff that you want to have at kind of a medium range rather than it. Not everybody's just got a sniper rifle. And then there's kind of a situation where what you're dealing with fixed things. The GM doesn't have a story that they're trying to impose on you. There's a world that you're interacting with. If you treat the world seriously and interact with it, then there'll be a reward for you. The goal is interacting with the world, not with some story or narrative or any kind of structure like that. It is what you make of it, just like in, I think, any OSR game. The idea is the GM comes in just as prepared to adapt to the situation as you are. The virtue of zero prep, in my view, is that the GM can be a player that gets surprised and has things happen to them. They don't have to go in there where they're trying to get an outcome. That's not good. That the outcome is what the players do.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Man, it is so. Going back to older school games where you're using these random encounters, it's so much more fun as a GM. And let's face it, 99% of the people who are ever going to turn this stream on are GMs. Use the random tables. I know you've got your story, whatever. We'll try to break you of that habit. That's going to be a longer intervention. But random encounter tables are going to open your games up like crazy. There's my beautiful wife. Sorry, go ahead.
He's got a drink for you?
I'm still finishing this one. I got to be careful.
Well, going back to the issue of humans being the problem, something that kind of jumped out at me was how you handle reaction rolls and the connection with as the vampire player character gains in levels. It has an effect on the reaction roll table, and a corresponding number to the attack roll. I found that really interesting. What was the thought process behind that? And we'll explain it first, and then
yeah. So I've always felt like the problem with humanity in Vampire the Masquerade is that there is not as good of a benefit to being low on humanity. Whereas if I'll get a little spicy here, if you've ever been in the dating market, guys that are a little bit low on humanity have advantages in certain ways that you might not. Right? So
yep.
being a tough, badass, murderous,
It's
insensitive,
true.
unempathetic asshole has its advantages, right? So I said, okay, so if I want to have a humanity score, I want it to be not just a slide into you're turning into a monster, because it becomes very hard to tell somebody, well, you can't do that because you're only humanity 5 and you're not humanity 3 or whatever. Like,
right.
I don't like the way that it's manifested. So I created it as a scale that goes across the 0. So it goes from +3 down to -7. And if you're at +2, you get that +2 as a reaction roll bonus. So it's very good to hold. And there's one of the bloodlines is called a radiant, and it gets a bonus to that ability. So they seem even more human than they really are. So the slide down into evil becomes more manageable also. But that bonus will help them interact with people. But as you get low, what would be, you're losing that reaction bonus. So the inverse of whatever your humanity is added to your attack rolls. So if you're at -6, you're getting +6 on every attack. You are just crushing it. You're a professional gangster who is experienced at murdering people. You're a special forces level of good. You've killed a lot of people, and that will just become a tempting thing. Like if you're at +2 reaction to humans, but you're at -2 on all of your attack rolls, there's going to be a time where you're like,
yeah,
it's okay for me to drop a little bit here. But if once you start getting low on the humanity thing, you're going to start to be like, I need to pump this number up, because if I keep going down, I can't even talk to people anymore because I'm at -5 on every damn reaction check.
Because you start looking like those vampires from 30 Days a Night.
That's right.
Yeah.
So,
well, what I really thought was cool, and I like seeing like connections like this. So you see in a lot of games like Shadow Dark and Lamentations of the Flame Princess, for example, where the monster's attack bonus is equal to their level, and you sort of have this. When you gain a level in this game, you start to lose humanity. So I that kind of connection that, yes, you're a player character.
You're the first person to realize it's a combat bonus. Yes.
Yeah. So, yes, you're a player character. Yes, you're playing this cool vampire game, but you're still a fucking monster. And I love that. I absolutely love that. And that jumped out at me when I was reading it earlier this week. So, I just love the sliding scale a little bit. So like you could be Lestat, right? Because Lestat, like honestly, aside from the fact that he's a vampire, like you could probably smack that little fop around, right?
Yeah.
But then you bump into the cool guys up in the north, 30 Days a Night, who are just going to tear you to shreds, and I love that. I just love that dichotomy and that sliding scale. So kudos. Very good. I love it.
Well, to answer Ed's question in the chat, there are a lot of non-vampires. There is there's categories of monsters like giants or dragons or whatever in D&D. There's an angel category. There's a demon category. There's a fairy category. Fairies are particularly dangerous because they appear to be human to you, right? You can tell an angel or vampire is what it is pretty easily. But the fairy, yeah, you could be trying to put the moves on the fairy, and the fairy is putting the moves on you. There's one called the Temptress that starts draining your max HP the longer you have interactions with them. You don't realize what's happening. So there's that. There's a whole category of mages with different types of mages, enchanters, witches, different, just different ways that the magic is manifesting for them. There's a undead category that includes things that are undead that are not you. Ghouls are part of vampires in terms of being like in Vampire the Masquerade, but there's like zombies that can be created by the necromancer mages. There are like incorporeal spirits that can mess with you, and then werewolves. So
yeah,
it's all there.
I wasn't sure when we would get to this question. I was actually expecting it to be later in the evening, but the bestiary was brought up, which really surprised me, because when we first talked to you about this at North Texas Con, I thought it was going to be vampires, and then there would just be this section with the different types of humans you'd run into. Like maybe there would be some vampire hunters, right? Maybe like clergy dudes with like crucifixes and stuff.
They're in the mortal category.
Yeah. Right. But when I saw that there were like monsters, these categories of mythical dark creatures, I was a little surprised. So I guess my question to you is there going to be a werewolf book? Is there going to be a mage book? Are you going to
into that? Yep.
Yeah. Is there going to be a World of Darkness Chubby Funster style?
Do you remember my friend Luke at North Texas with the red hair?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. He is working on a supplement with rules that are alternatives. So he was working on some werewolf stuff, some mage stuff. I'm not sure how he's going to finally shake it out, but he has my blessing for doing it that way. I may come back and do some of that stuff. I don't know. I'm very buzzing around with all different types of stuff. It's hard for me to predict things like that, but it will certainly be, if there's 500 backers and people are telling me this is what they really want, then hey, I'll go with where it if it depends on my passion level, and a lot of my passion level is people coming to me and saying they really want a particular thing. So,
and I'd just like to mention, we had a talk. I think it's been an ongoing conversation between you and me about like your Red Dead book, right? We keep talking about like anytime my name comes up.
I was wondering how long it would take.
Well, no, but so there's disco, but not before Red Dead. But here's the thing: let
me interrupt you for a second.
Go ahead.
Can you see now how this would fit with Red Dead?
Absolutely.
With
brother, yes,
all the maps.
Yes, and in one of our recent Twitter exchanges, somebody was talking about me bugging you about Red Dead, and I was like, "No, brother, let them cook." Because
it was disco, I think. Yeah,
I think it was disco, and my thing is that you did this Shadow City, and there's so many elements of that I can see filtering into. I was telling you earlier, I want to add certain things to my game that I'm playing right now, that you've done. So I trust that one day I will see a Red Dead cowboy book of some sort. I'm not going to bother you about it, but there is a connection between being somebody who's been on stage a little bit. If your audience isn't digging what you're doing, no matter how much you loved it before you started playing that song, by the time it's over, you just want to be done. There is an exchange. There's an audience artist exchange. So, I say do what you want. What do you have? Sorry, go ahead.
Quick question from
Flint. So, basically, there's I can't remember if are the familiars kind of like ghouls or are they actually supernaturals? I can't remember. It's been a while since I watched the Blade
I'm not.
trilogy.
Yeah.
But there is a homunculus fairy that is kind of like a traditional kind of weird looking little, like the size of a little kid that goes around and fucks with people. And there are ghouls in Vampire the Masquerade. A ghoul is a human that's been fed a little bit of vampire blood, so they're kind of like a boosted human. But if they don't get that hit every month, they'll age up to where they should be. So if they're like a 200-year-old ghoul and they don't get the vampire blood, they'll turn into a 200-year-old person and die like right there. So the ghoul becomes kind of like enslaved in a way because they can't turn on the vampire after a certain point. And so that both of those are in there. But yeah, there's a lot. There's so much that I felt like if I kept adding, it would get almost crazy how much. Like I added a lot of different alternatives, and any GM can just add whichever ones they want. If they don't want to do angels or they don't want to do fairies or whatever, just leave them off. Yeah.
Yeah, I find.
So where were you going with that comment, Gary? Before you got interrupted.
Well, I'm just kind of listen. I think that and you probably see it more than I do because just the way you think. But I think you've just opened a door with Shadow City that, should sales be good enough, should people support it, I don't see any reason why you wouldn't have a hunter. Everybody wants everything.
Possible, yeah.
It's just a matter but also the inspiration part. One thing I've found is that when people are excited about working on a project, that project always comes out better. So I would hate to see you tied down for like 4 books that you didn't want to do.
Exactly.
Kind of suck. So,
yeah. And I kind of got into this a little bit on Black Lodge last week, but I try to, in every product that I make, pretty much, there's a couple of minor exceptions. There's some kind of thing that I'm doing that I want as like the central innovation of that product, right? So for Shadow Rim, which is, we can go ahead and drop it now. It's going to be deal of the day tomorrow on drive-through, Shadow Rim. And the stuff that's in it about how to do alchemy, how to do enchanting in the Skyrim way, how to do character creation through the constellation system that's in there instead of the traditional class system from Shadowdark. All that kind of stuff. So like that was the innovation of that product. Yeah. Oh, you got the map too. Yeah.
Yeah, I got the map pack.
And so,
they're beautiful.
And so there's a lot of innovation in that. And a lot of people were asking me if I would do that Oblivion, since Oblivion was resurfacing again with the remake that they did. And I was like, oh, okay, but there's nothing in Oblivion that I would make as like really innovative new thing. You know what I mean? Like everything I do, I want to have some kind of really new way of doing a thing. Like in Shadow Sun, I did psionics in a way that I thought was really innovative. It's with prerequisites that build up like using the Force. Then, in Shadow Rim, it was the character design and the enchanting and the alchemy. And then, every product has its own thing that I'm doing in a particular way that I'm bringing in. So I try to always be, I don't want to get into a situation where I'm like, and I need to make 3 more of these. Like you said, that does not motivate me. I'm really motivated by bringing something to market that has a real innovation in it. Terra Invictus having an icon system so people could run it as a solo play, like a procedural video, almost like a Oregon Trail level of video game element to it, where you could run it yourself, stuff like that. Yeah, that's what keeps me. my number one criticism of the existing industry is that they don't innovate for shit. They don't do anything, you know. And my golden age of RPGs is late TSR, when almost they were innovating so much that they drove their company into bankruptcy. They tried so many things at once that it killed them. You know, like that. I would rather go down fighting like that than have a very successful shit product.
Yeah, I agree with you on that too, because like I hear a lot of certain segments of the OSR, they're like, the early days are the best, and they kind of like look down at the 2E days. But I look back, I'm like, there was so many interesting things coming out, like even some of those green books, right, with like the Vikings and Rome, and like I think it was in the Roman book. They had rules for a Christian like priest, and I was like, well, hey, they went there, and they tried to do it. To me, that's where the OSR should be going. They should be like taking what exists already and seeing what they can do to make something really neat. And I point to Dark Sun as like my classic example of that. Like when I picked up Dark Sun for the first time, I was like, whoa, this is D&D but different, and it feels and the difference makes this world come to life, and that's why I think you have such a huge cult following for Dark Sun. And Shadowrim, I think, is Shadowrim and Shadow City. I don't know Shadow Sun all that well, but these two books are different. They're taking that Shadow Dark game engine and just tweaking it enough where this feels like Skyrim, where Shadow City feels like a vampire game. So and that's where I think people should be going, and that's what makes things interesting. We were talking a little bit before you got on and backstage. I'm not going to name names, but there's a couple products out there where I bought just out of curiosity, but then I read it and I was just like, it's Shadow Dark plus. You know what I mean? It's just like where it's just, I know how to make the character classes. I really didn't need to pick this up, I guess. I don't know. But and this is another dungeon. So this I'm with you, and this is what I'm looking for. I'm becoming a little bit more discerning with what I'm picking up.
I just said this earlier when you were in the chat on Tenkar's channel, that like there's just this desire. All of us have bought a product that's like really good visually, and then we take it home and it sucks. And so there's just this desire to get something that is just really good, even if it's coming at like a black and white printed off soft cover basic looking book. Like if it's good, then that's what people care about. And I'm moving now into the realm where I have the money to finance a lot of better art, right? That's just I'm just now getting into that this year, because I've been running it on stock art and public domain stuff like we've talked about before, trying to keep those costs down, but making it still look really good. And then I'm moving up in the world in that respect, but I don't want to put all the focus on that. Like the products need to keep getting better to go with it. And I think a lot of times people, they make like a couple really great things, and then they blow out this huge art budget to make this big thing. But they're so focused by that point on the admin side of things, and on it's like a repetitive, mundane task for them making the thing, and just the product comes out like it sucks. I don't want that. There's so many like failed trajectories in role-playing games. There's ways of people burning themselves out so that they just kind of like take themselves out of the hobby. There's people who screwed up in big public ways with big, huge Kickstarters that went down in flames. There's people who've gone out in private ways that just bad business practice or whatever. And I'm very cautious about that, coming from being Eric Tenkar's friend for 13 years now, and seeing how the graveyard of people that he's reported on his blog of all the failures, and then coming from both my parents being actuaries, like I'm just very concerned. Like I'm making sure that when I put something out, like everything is in the green and it's all gonna rock.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think that's wise, and you definitely. I mean, Tenkar's like he's been around, so learning from other people's mistakes. I wanted to highlight this because I thought this was an interesting comment. The crash pushing the limits versus profitable crap makes me think of the phrase "It's better to burn out than fade away." I heard this in Highlander movie in a song "Rock of Ages" by Def Leppard. Yeah, I've always felt like whenever engaging in any kind of artistic endeavor, just fail big. I mean, at least you could say you tried. You know what I mean? Better to like shoot the moon and push for that innovative thing that you want to do. That maybe it's not popular, but you know what? You did it, and that's way better than like you were saying a bunch of stuff that you're just sort of like meh about. Everyone likes it, but you're
I don't want to be creating things where my goal is making money. Just flat out, like you want to make money, but you need to have you have to believe in it. You have to want the thing to get made.
Yeah.
And I've been talking a couple times past couple weeks about this whole Diamond Distributors scandal, and that it really reveals to me like there's a substantial part of this hobby that is composed of companies that are basically finance companies to make books. So the person writing the book is working as a freelancer, right? The person doing the art is working as a freelancer. The person doing the layouts working as a freelancer. All the people making the thing are freelancers, and the company is just a finance vehicle for that thing. I don't ever want to get into that situation, because the person who is the finance vehicle only cares about that profitable outcome. The person who's writing the book only cares about keeping their job working for the person who's paying them. Like everybody's incentives are aligned for shit. And
when you said Diamond,
I don't want it.
Yeah, you're explaining why comics suck these days. Diamond is in charge of was in charge of comic book distribution for years and years and years and years and years. And that's exactly what comics are. There's a company and the writers write for the company, and it's the same kind of way with some of these game companies. What right now you've done Shadow City. I want to get back into the game just a little bit. Some games that have themes seem to only have those themes in the art within the rules. And you have added mechanics that make the theme of the game something that has to be dealt with, right? Like there's a lot of games that could be any kind of game. They just have this kind of art, and all of a sudden there's cyberpunk or whatever.
Yeah.
But how were you thinking about those mechanics? What were you in your mind? What were you thinking as far as how it's going to work? What was it a theme?
Yeah.
Like, how did you think about that?
So this is going to sound like it's not related, but I guarantee you this is exactly what it is. So there's a video game called Europa Universalis. Many people probably heard of it. It's made by Paradox. They're in like the 4th iteration now. But when I was in college, it was in the 2nd one, and it was awesome. It was like the greatest game I had ever discovered in my life. And I am a huge history buff, and I love history buffs, history. I all the time. But what this game made me realize is that sometimes reading a thing does not give you the sense of the real pressures that these people were in. And so you can read a lot about France, but if you play a game where you're stuck in between England, Spain, Austria, Piedmont and the Netherlands. You know, like you got all of these pressures on you from all different directions, and you're having to deal with the problems in a real, you know, not totally purely exactly how it is for France, but like close enough that you really get a sense for, oh, I can see why France acted the way it did in history, because it was in this position, right? I think that there need to be in games mechanics that are pressing on you in a particular way that create the outcome. Like in Alien, we've talked about before, like Alien has all of these pressures that are pushing down on you, right? And the game is all about getting out of that with stress and how you can push things and all that stuff. So the game mechanics need to be aligned with that, putting whatever you're putting on the player to make them have that unique experience. It's not something that they come to. The game needs to come to them, right? And that's why, like, losing the blood, getting hungrier, all these, the time pressures, the things like that. The player is, if they just stand in place, they will die. They have to be taking action and moving and doing stuff, or they'll just get swept away.
Yep.
That's a great way of putting what I've been kind of talking about with like setting material and how exercising a content, or excuse me, game designers exercising that creativity to make that world come to life. That's exactly that's a great way to put it. We got a super chat from Robert Stanton, $10. Thank you, sir. Really appreciate it. I just wanted to say thank you, Matt, Gary, and Chubby Funster. I can't wait to back this. Well, we can't wait for you to back it.
Right
So,
back, folks.
Thank you very much, sir.
He's going to get more drink.
Gary's got to go get another drink. Oh,
see, that's why I brought
two. I could celebrate. Well, I wanted. This is such a well. I have high hopes for your Kickstarter because as like Kyle, the Dying Breed Tabletop was saying earlier, I mean, your name is out there. Like, you are the third party guy for Shadow Dark. I mean, Professor Dungeon Master actually picked up Shadow Sun, or mentioned Shadow Sun in like a recent, which I thought, I was just like,
oh that was a big surprise. I was like, wow, okay.
Yeah. So I think this is going to be your breakout moment, really, honestly. And whatever you do next, you know, obviously you follow your passions, but I really do think what Shadow Sun is doing is going to open the door to a variety of other things using that sort of boiled down Shadow Dark D20 sort of system. So yeah, you're kind of like leading the charge on that.
Shadow Dark, the real genius of Shadow Dark is that it's the right combination of elements to satisfy most people. So there may be people that don't like advantage and disadvantage. There may be people who don't like rolling to cast your spells. There may be people that don't like, there's variety of systems that I've heard people complain about. They don't want to run always on initiative or whatever. But the combination of all of those things is sufficiently enticing that that people can agree, this is what I want to play, and move forward. You're like, and it brings, it's the food that everybody wants to have at the barbecue, right? It satisfies the most number of people. You could show up at the barbecue with some particular kind of fish that a few people like, and some cheese that's really like expensive cheese, but only a few people like it. And people aren't going to be talking about, they're not going to be like, oh yeah, there'll be a few people that are like, this is the greatest barbecue of all time. Yeah.
Oh, sure. Yeah. You're going to have the guys who like the axe smoked pork. You're going to have the Lamentations, brew in the corner, but everyone's going to be dining.
But if you show up with barbecue ribs and mac and cheese and cornbread and hot dogs and hamburgers and whatever, like, people are going to be People are going to be happy with it. And you can say, well, this hamburger is
Yeah.
not the greatest food in the world. Like, correct, you know, but that does
Right.
not mean it's great for getting a bunch of people together for a party.
Right. Well, you know, mentioning the things that people like, and you know, the thing that I really like the most about Shadow Dark is that it's the simplified, sort of boiled down essence of 5th edition, that what I call the algorithm, the D20 plus stat bonus. Because I have my in-person gaming crew, they really like 5th edition. I don't know what they think of 2024 because I don't bring it up. But if Shadow Dark had come out a few years ago, we might act, you know, prior to when it first came out, I should say, before COVID, we might be playing that. You know what I mean? And the only reason why I haven't mentioned this yet, because they're all fans of Skyrim, is that if I mention this this book to them, they're going to want to drop Gods of the Forbidden North and play this. So I want to finish that campaign first, but then this will be the next one. But yeah, no, it's such a simple system to play. I feel like I can bridge that, you know, because I'm a huge OSR guy. I can bridge that gap with them, and I'm going to be telling tomorrow the big story gamer guy in my in-person gaming crew who loves Vampire the Masquerade. I am going to be telling him to go to your Kickstarter and to back it, because he read Shadow Dark, he liked it a lot, and I'm like, if you like that, dude, you're going to like Shadow City. So I do think that's going to open a lot of doors for people who may not typically look in that direction for that sort of vampire game. Real quick though, Gary's off getting a drink, Robert, because he's having fun, and I'm being a good boy and only drinking water tonight. Judd's got a question. I think you may have answered this earlier, but no harm in
they are. Not all of them. Some of them are. This is kind of a pricing thing, but some of them are priced too low to like give you half off. You know, if it's only a $3 PDF, I mean, what's the point of adding that as a $1.50 add-on for the Kickstarter? But right now I have 6. I might expand it to a few more, but 6 of my products that are PDF are going to be as add-ons. So you can be the player companion, the GM companion, Shadow Sun, Shadow Rim, Terra Invictus, and Ambition and Avarice 2, which is my OSR game. And you can just add it to the pledge, and then you just get the PDF, you know, half off of what the drive-through price is.
Judd, I can tell you, I can't speak to the player's handbook because I don't own that, but the GM companion for Shadow Dark is, I think, a must-have if you're wanting to play a Shadow Dark game. All due respect to Kelsey, there's some things in the original book where I was just kind of like, I wanted more, and well, this book gives you that more that you might be looking for. So that's definitely worth getting. I fully endorse that, PDF or hardcover, but whatever. We got another super chat. Death Angels Shadow, $2. Thank you very much, sir. We appreciate it. Love to see a series of Shadow City expansions. Well, I think we've been pressuring him all night on that. Like werewolf.
One of the things that I talked about with Black Lodge very early, you know, on private message, we talked about ways that could improve the product. They saw it at North Texas, like you guys and everything. And Nick had the idea of, you know, you could release like neighborhood designs where it has a particular neighborhood. You kind of use art to really give it a unique flavor. You know, like the French Quarter is a very unique neighborhood, you know, right?
Sure.
And you give it, you put it out there as like a short release, like a 20-page thing, and you flesh out all of the NPCs and all the stuff that if you were running the game kind of normally, so to speak, would be randomly generated. But like these are like NPCs that I've made that are unique personalities or whatever that are in this neighborhood, and describe it, whatever. And then people who weren't sure how to do the work themselves could use that as a guide of, okay, this is how I should do it for my game,
Sure.
or whatever, build out a neighborhood. I'd love to believe that I will close this Kickstarter and then start chunking out a bunch of neighborhoods, but it might be a while before it hits me with the inspiration. I need to be cooking for a while and then think of like a really good neighborhood. Put it together.
Have a good night,
as
Jed.
the kind of exam, like you want the first one to be like kick ass, Yeah. So I need to come up with like not just a few characters, but like a lot of NPCs that are like really good NPCs and stuff like that. And I could sit down and take a bunch of methylphenidate and force myself to make that stuff, but it won't be as good as if I just start collecting ideas on my phone in the notes document, like, oh, I had this idea for this guy, and blah blah blah. Build it up like that. That's why at any given moment I've got like 3 or 4 things that are on that slow cook, because the ideas don't all come when you want them to come.
Right.
That's
the
way
I
it
kind
is.
of feel like one day I'm gonna get a DM on Twitter, and it's gonna be from you, and it's gonna say, "Hey, I didn't realize this, but I just finished your Red Dead book." Like, I feel like it. You know what I mean? Like, you're just gonna do a bit by bit by bit by bit, and that is, I think that's a fine way to work, man. It's you don't want to push it, and so far, I mean, everything you've put out seems to be working. Real quick, you're known. I just want to ask a quick detour, because you have a reputation. You are the Shadow Dark third party public. You're the guy. Do you get a lot of questions? Do you have a lot of people looking for advice? So if this were the place, if somebody asked you for advice and you said, go watch this video, what's the advice you'd start giving to people?
The first thing is just start doing it. A lot of people spend so much time up in their heads putting together. So the kind of example is like the guy who can never write a novel, right? Like, he has all these ideas in his head for scenes and interactions and things like that, but he never actually sits down and starts working on it. There's a Stephen King quote that writers write. It's just it's a pretty simple quote, right?
Yeah.
So if you want to do it, you have to actually write. You have to sit down and write it down. And if it starts as just a list of things on your phone and then evolves into a Word document, or however you want to keep it on your computer, and then that keeps building up, that's the way. But the biggest thing to do is to take small steps. I've spent days where I haven't written a single word, but I took 4 or 5 public domain images and cleaned them up in Photoshop. And sometimes that can take a long time, because there might be like an image of a building or something, and there's extensive hatching around it, and you got to clean it up with the little brushes in Photoshop. But at least at the end of the day, I can go, I did this thing. I made a tangible step forward on something, right? And that's important. Like, you maintain that forward momentum, and don't think of it like it's a one-step process that like you'll all of a sudden it'll be poof done. Like, this is a long thing. This is, if I say this as a word of warning for everyone on earth. Don't ever buy a house that's in the middle of a new construction neighborhood. I am just renting this place as a transition between selling my house and moving to a different place. So I'm renting for a short period of time, but I'm in a neighborhood where they're putting up houses all the time. It is horrible, first off. Now, that said, they will go out there and they will, in like 2 weeks, put a whole fucking house up, right? They'll have a guy come in and put down the foundation. They'll have guys that grade it. They have all that stuff. Boom, 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 boom. The house gets built up, but it doesn't get built up by one dude just tink 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 tink, right? Like this is a bunch of different tasks that are being added together. And if you want to build a whole book, you have to learn how to do a lot of different things. Role-playing games are not fiction. It's not one thing. You have to be able to have the ability to write some fictional text that has evocative language in it. You have to be able to do the mechanical rules. You have to be able to do the how you're going to organize the thing, how you're going to manage referencing different things back and forth. There's all these little tasks, right? You need a plumber and a concrete guy and an electrician and all this stuff. Like you got to be that guy. And the more of that stuff that you do, the more of the profit at the end of the day you will end up getting. And that's why I've learned how to do my own layout, how to do my own art direction tasks, how to figure out how to do the public. Because if you start looking for other people to do that and you just want to do the writing, then you'll end up being a bit player in your own story. Like you take control of your story, write it yourself, learn how to do these things, and be prepared for it to take a long time. It will take a long time.
Yeah, I don't want to name names, but I was talking to someone at VentureCon who's developed a game system he's been working on it for years, and he was running a game using it, and it was a lot of fun. It was really good. It was so well done. And I was like, hey man, when are you going to put this out? And he seemed overwhelmed by all the other stuff. And I said, but he was talking about how he needed to hire a layout guy. And I said, hey, maybe you should just bite the bullet and teach yourself Affinity or something. Yeah. You can get a class for like $17, a YouTube class or whatever. Because I remember you saying this before, the more that you can do yourself, the more control you have over it, but yeah, this guy's had this thing going for a while. And I personally think I would love to see it on the market. You know what I mean? But he's sort of like stuck because he's not sure where to go and who to talk to. And I'm just like, just do it yourself. And I showed him some of the stuff I've done. And I'm by no means, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm like still learning Affinity. I'm like, this is what I've been able to do.
But have specific questions, right? So like I go to people for help with stuff. I say, hey, how did you do this particular thing? And then they'll come back and tell. People are very open if you ask them a particular question. But if you go, how do you write a book? I mean, what can I do? But if you come to me and you say, I can't figure out how paragraph styles work in InDesign, I will explain it to you. But but you have to know enough to know that you need to figure out what a paragraph style is.
Chubby, I don't know how to make hundreds of dollars, thousands of dollars selling books on drive-thru. No,
well, no, that's actually it's like when I always thought it was funny. I knew a guy who was a really good chess player, right? And people would be like, "Hey, man, well, can you teach me some stuff?" And he was like, "Yeah, but you got to read this book first." It was.
They would never read the book, I bet.
Yeah, and they wouldn't read the book, right? They would never read the book. And it wasn't that he had read that book. He just needed you to be at this level. He's like, bro, I'm up here. I can't talk to you down here. And that's a real thing. If you want real advice from real people who are really doing shit, you got to learn that language. It reminds me of a story I saw where Kevin Smith was talking about Bruce Willis chewing him out on some terrible movie they did together because Kevin Smith didn't understand lenses on a camera. And Bruce Willis was like, you're a fucking director. How many movies have you made? You don't understand lenses? And then Kevin Smith went and learned everything he could about camera lenses. You got to speak the language, you got to watch the movies. You got to read the books. It's all a part of it, yeah. There you go. Anything else?
That's what I tell my wife. That's what I told my wife when she's like, you bought another role-playing game? I'm like, it's research. I'm
Once
trying
you
to
have
get
an
better at this.
LLC, it becomes tax deductible.
Exactly.
Does that include copies for freelancers? Anyway, we'll talk, Matt. I'm curious, Chubby. I don't even know what time it is. Okay, 11:20. We got plenty of time. So you've gone from being, I guess, a gamer and a person who runs game to creating content. The stuff that you're creating, the books that you're writing, the third-party content you're making is obviously garnered attention. You're putting a lot of time and a lot of energy into it away from your regular everyday kind of thing. I want to ask you, and for everybody out there who wants to be a creator, realistically, how far away are you from actually making a real living doing the stuff you're doing?
It's hard to know what unit to answer that question in, because is it a time unit? Is it a effort unit? Is it a monetary unit? Like there's different things. I'll put it this way. I'm handicapped in that I'm a spoiled rich kid. I live a good life. Okay. I don't have to replace like a McDonald's salary, like I have to replace like a good salary. So I don't know. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, in terms of like getting over the kind of average US income level or that kind of thing, like, I'd say maybe in a year and a half, if it continues on the current trajectory. The main thing is there's all kinds of tax considerations that I'm not familiar with enough yet to know, like, you could bring in a certain amount and then find out from your accountant that you're going to have to pay, $20K of that in taxes to Uncle Sam. There's concerns like that. So I keep a ton of stuff in reserve for that reason.
Yeah.
I don't even know this. The things are happening so fast for Chubby Funster, let's put it in that framework, that I don't know what withholdings should be in terms of like quarterly withhold, so I'm just estimating on certain things, because I just don't know, things are changing very quickly. Once it kind of stabilizes like that, then that's good. From my perspective, it started out as I just wanted to make more money with Chubby Funster in a year than my kid's stepdad that I hate. And and we are definitely going to do that in 2025. Okay,
That's
2025 is going to be the first year that it's going to happen, but it's going to happen in like 2 weeks. Okay, like it's close.
Yeah.
So that was kind of my.
You've just given
petty,
me a goal.
Yeah, my petty little inside my head goal. But in terms of actually replacing it, like both my wife and I make a lot of money. It would have to be substantial.
It's hard, right?
If I was a guy who was making $40K at a really crap job, like I could already be past that. Right. I don't know. I don't know what it's going to be by the end of the year, and I don't know what Shadow City will be, but it's definitely within striking distance very shortly to be above that. But I don't know what the tax implication will be once I do. There's all kinds of stuff.
It is having been self-employed most of my life. I can tell you that the tax implications are exactly what you report if you get paid in cash. Anyway,
I can tell you because I do freelance writing on the side for my really real career. And that's all, it's, independent contractor type work. I get killed at the end of the year. It's one of the reasons why in the next month or so, because I've been doing like this whole rebranding for the channel here, a slow rebranding. I will be putting up an LLC and wrapping it everything I do creatively here and in gaming and this side gig writing thing I do all under one umbrella, so I can go, oh yeah, my trip to North Texas Con, that was a
It will be
that was a
mine
business
will be
trip.
tax deducted. All those nachos that I
so
bought for you, Gary, business one.
Fuck yeah. I was gonna say,
Okay.
Matt, I already brought my pass.
that bottle of bourbon I drank at North Texas Con, it's delectable.
The bottle? Get the fuck out of here, bro.
I couldn't help myself. I was having so much fun.
God.
No, because this is what's going to happen. This is what's going to happen. Hopefully next year, if the second watch is doing much better, ad revenue and all that, I'll be able to like reimburse you from that.
Well, no, that's fine.
For that ticket.
Yeah, I'm gonna be there anyway. But thank you. You can buy me a Dungeon Master's Guide, a 1E Dungeon Master's Guide. Yeah,
I'll buy you another nacho.
I would love the nachos.
There you go.
Listen, but that is the thing. Listen, there's a lot of guys. I remember, playing music real young and being told real quick about, hey, you got to get your business straight. And I think a lot of people who have never been self-employed and if you're really going to go after this third party thing, you need to understand that money causes issues. I don't want to say problems, but there are things that you have to deal with, they will be coming for you. So, you have to get that kind
don't
of
be
stuff
Wesley
straight.
Snipes.
For real. I want to ask a question. We're almost out of here. We got about 30 minutes left. And I'm just curious, at North Texas Con, you had things and Kelsey was there, Kelsey Dion. And she was really sweet she met everybody. She seemed to know everybody's name. She was really cool. And I'm just wondering, have you talked to her at all? Just what's her general reaction to products, third party in general?
She's
Has she been
incredibly
receptive
supportive
to questions?
Yeah.
What's your general take on that?
I started talking to her on Discord chat. That's where, because I was on her Discord and I could see her responding to people, and I had a specific question, and I, added her as a friend, and I sent her the message, right? And I've talked to her since then. That's a year and a half to almost 2 years ago. Whenever Shadow Sun came out, it was a little bit after that. And she's very supportive. She wants people to make stuff for Shadow Dark. Obviously, it helps. There was a time when we didn't have Shadow Dark as a category on drive-through, and she helped kind of coordinate people to send requests asking for it to be added, because if a certain number of publishers ask for it, then they'll feel like they need to do it. And so she's very supportive of people. She is also very busy. So if you send her a message or you do something, you don't hear back for a little bit of time, don't think that you're necessarily being ignored. It could be that she's she's like this week she's going to be at Gen Con. The odds of her answering your Discord message while she's at Gen Con are pretty low.
Well, and she's at that weird stage where if in any other sort of creator or artist would have somebody managing this shit, and I don't know what her organization
She's been hiring people to do some things. She's got, when we saw her at North Texas, she had I forget his name now. It's late at night. I'm sorry. But the guy who was with her, who was his admin on the Discord, and he helped her handle a whole bunch of stuff, I gave him the copy of the Player's Companion I had left. She's got people that manage all kinds of, she couldn't possibly handle all of these things. But it's one of the reasons why people eventually get overwhelmed by those kind of tasks, and that's how they end up becoming the person who owns that financing company that we talked about. That's what happens. And I've used his name a few times. I can't remember if I mentioned him when I were on here last time, but Kevin Costner is like a hero of mine. Not for anything in particular that he's done. I mean, there's a lot of movies that he's done that I like. Dances with Wolves, Waterworld, or whatever. There's other movies that I don't really like that he's made. But what I really admire about him
was great, dude. Wide Earp was great. Sorry.
Yeah, that is what awesome one. Yes. And what I really admire about him is that he reached a certain point and he said, I'm only going to do things that I want to do. I'm going to do things that I want to do, even if it costs me an enormous amount of money, because that's why I have the fucking money. Right? Like, so he did things like, that's why I brought up Waterworld. Like, he did Waterworld and he took a bath on it, but he wanted to do Waterworld. He didn't care that it cost too much to do all these things and that it ran out budgets and all this stuff. That was what he fucking wanted, And I don't want to get into a position where I'm doing things that I don't want to get money I can't spend because I'm wasting my time doing things I don't want. It's a simple thing. I want to be happy doing the things. The money supports that. It's not its own end, right?
Right.
My dad is a type A person, so I don't know how seriously he really even meant this statement, but he loves going out to national parks. He's a big national park guy. And he said to me one time, he wishes he almost never went into being an actuary and he'd just been a park ranger. He would have been fucking hasty. He's like, I would have been happier doing that. Like, I don't want to get to be 60 and have that thought. Right. Yeah. I want, if I want to be a park ranger, I want to be a park ranger in the near term as soon as possible. Right. Like, so there's a lot of people. I worked for a guy for years who was the most miserable fuck I've ever known. And he had the most money of anyone I've ever met personally. He spent all day trying to make more money so that he could go home for like an hour with his family and go to sleep and then come back to make more money. And he was miserable every one of those days. So there was nothing that he did in his life that he really loved. He had like a $2 million house on the Jersey Shore and he's miserable every fucking day. I'm like, you are not doing this thing right, And that guy really changed me because I was like, I am never going to be like this. I'm going to do what I want to do. Yeah. I'm going to be happy doing my stuff every day. I'm not going to get into that position. And, if I would get into a point where I have the kind of revenue coming in that Kelsey has, I'm going to be using that to make my life the way I want it to be. If I have to hire somebody to do things that I don't want to do, then that's what I'll do. But I'm not going to just keep building to build infinitely. Every day I'm going to be, I like making things. I don't like being an administrator. So I'm going to spend my time every day making things. And I'm going to pay people to do the stuff that I don't want to do so I can go back to making things. I'm never going to get into a position where I'm like one of these guys running companies telling other people to make books for me. That seems crazy to me.
Right.
That's
yeah. I think go ahead, Gary.
Oh, I was just gonna say that's the Todd McFarlane curse, right? You make badass Spider-Man comics and then you draw Spawn, and then all of a sudden you're in charge, de facto the head of Image Comic Books, and you never get to draw a fucking book again.
Exactly.
And that's why everybody loves you. What's that? The Peter principle kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, just let people cook, man. Keep them where they're the best. So I agree. Chubby, it's so funny when you talk about these things. I've never heard you say anything. It all seems very sincere and coming from a certain a place of love for games, which is a vast contrast to some of the people I see who you can definitely tell need to get that product out every 6 months, who are putting out version 5 of the first game they came out with. And I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. I get it. Everybody's got to pay the bills. But it does give you a certain amount of freedom, to let go of all that. So, or to not have to worry about it in the first place. Where it is.
Yeah.
So I appreciate it. Although that being said, I
I
would like to see you lock down in making a hunter mage werewolf game for Shadow City.
Yeah,
I would love to see
yeah,
you make so
yeah.
much money on this goddamn Kickstarter that you have no choice but to make 4 more. One other thing I want to say, I really appreciate the facial hair.
It's
I
for
want
you,
you to,
man.
I know. I want you to
It's
know
all
that
for
next
you.
year, we're
I'm
going
hot.
full beard.
It's itchy.
Nah, bro. The ladies dig it. The ladies dig it. Let me tell you.
We got a super chat from our very own superhero, At Most. At Most, $5. Thank you very much, sir. I'm not a fan of Shadowdark, but we'll probably pick up that CF's book. Any recommendations of Shadowdark content that doesn't have balanced encounters?
Shadow
I
Rim.
don't think Shadowdark
I
is that
don't know
balanced.
Shadowdark even, but yeah, the Shadow Rim encounter tables will F you up randomly.
Yeah.
And the idea is you're hopefully far enough away, like in Skyrim, where if you see that dragon flying over there, you go, I'm not going to go across that open plain in front of that dragon, or go try to start a fight with that giant, right? Like if you want to have a good time, start a new game of Skyrim, and when you get to Whiterun, just run up. There's a little camp nearby with some giants, and just poke him. And just do it. Just do it to see what happens, because you will turn and he will hit you with the club so hard that your character will fly like 50 feet in the game and smash against the rocks, and you're dead. Like that. The world is
balance
deadly.
is bullshit, dude. The world is not fucking balanced.
That's right.
Yeah. I think that was one of the biggest mistakes from introduced by
I
third
was gonna
edition
say
with
third
the CR
edition did it,
ratings and all that stuff.
Hey,
And that was when the hobby started turning into a video game in real life, which I hate.
and getting back,
I was been ranting on that on Twitter earlier this week.
Anyway. I've been using random tables and everything for this OSE campaign that I'm doing, and the starting area, like I looked at the rules and I was just like, dude, none of my players are going to survive. Like, there's no way they're going to fucking live. And so I didn't nerf it. I rounded the edges of the starting area. You know what I mean? But they're about to hit some things. Anyway, sorry. I just
I think
go ahead.
There's an assumption, like I'll use the third edition framework because people will be familiar with the terms. Okay, so there's a CR system. Yeah, you just brought it. So there's a CR system, and the idea is that the encounter should be enough to drain people. What is it, like 10% of their resources?
20. D&D,
20%
I think it was
of their
20% was what they were going for.
There's almost no system that explicitly says this, but I'm okay with an encounter where the expected outcome is 1 death or 2. Like that's okay. That will happen sometimes. And if you don't think so, just read history, right? How many people have gone out, just look at Wild West stuff, and how many guys go out and like 2 guys get killed and 1 guy comes limping back into town and he's the only one who made it, right? I was a player. It's one of the few times I've been able to be a player in the past year or so I bring it up a lot. But I was a player in the Shadowdark campaign run by my friend, whose product that we were playtesting is now out. I'll get you a link. But I roll this I always just take what I get. I just put it into the Shadow Darklings thing, and I got a 1 hit point thief. Okay, 1 hit point. And in the first foray out into the wilderness, I was the only one who made it back. And I managed to, luckily I killed the thing and I brought back all the loot, and that's how I got to level 2. Right. So that's an acceptable outcome. Everybody died except me. The game goes on. I recruited new people, you know.
Well, hold up.
It is what it is.
Got a super chat from Disco. $2. Thank you, sir. Balance is a GM problem, not a game problem.
I don't think it's a fucking problem at all. Fuck balance. Who cares?
Well, yeah. Running is always an option, right? I mean,
I gave you a legacy link. Let me flip it over to her. I always have it default to legacy whenever I'm.
So I love the random wilderness tables in like OSC or BX because it's just, oh, you're fucked. There's 400 orcs. Run.
Yeah, you could seriously.
I love that.
Well, it's not. Go ahead and drop the legacy link, I guess, Matt. But whenever you switch into publisher mode, it flips to legacy anyway. So when I click out of publisher mode, it's in legacy.
What product
is
this?
Pleasures of the Tiglath-Pileser, which is my friend Dave Perzabilla. He wrote this. There's this town with a dam, and all of a sudden there's these weird bubbles that are coming up behind the dam, and they send down some guys to investigate, and they never come back. So then you show up, and they're like, "Hey, want to make some coin? Go down this thing." Yeah, sure, yeah. So I won't spoil any more than that. But it was a great adventure. We had a good time. So yeah, I'm fine with it. We had a foray. I was the only one that came back. We had another foray. I was the only one who came back. Okay. And the reason why I came back was because I was the guy sitting in the back shooting a bow and arrow because I had 1 hit point, right? And then at second level, like I had 4 hit points. You know, like it was still risky. Yeah. So that was why I ended up living. And when I came back from the second near TPK, I wasn't even able to kill the last monster, so I didn't come back with anything. It was just me. No treasure. Like, it was so fun.
Yeah, I think everyone should play a character with 1 hit point. In Gary's game, my wizard started off with 1 hit point, survived until second hit level, and now he has 2 hit points.
That's really bad.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Okay. Real quick. At negative space, balance absolutely matters. A GM should know how powerful something is, regardless of whether they're trying to turn their game balanced or not. No, there are random tables. If you look at the original Wilderness random monster tables, there is no fucking balance in that game, right? It is whatever happens. It's not planned. So anyway, I just want to say that I disagree with you. Negative space.
The reason why people care about this stuff, one, it comes from video games where people want a gradually ascending difficulty level, and they don't want to have to reload after they get their ass kicked, right? But there are video games that don't give a fuck about balance, and you could Fallout 1. Shit, man.
Patty, I agree with you. Sorry, Patty just chimed in. I completely agree with you. What is that? But I don't care for this encounters for level 4 or 5 characters. Yeah, no, you're out in the world.
Yeah, running is always
the world is dangerous.
Yeah, the thing from a design standpoint, though, and this is something Professor Dungeon Master talked about a little while ago. All that balance, all that does is create an illusion of improvement. Right. All you're doing is just changing the numbers, and it's the same number, it's the same percentage every single time. Whereas in a pure OSR, random encounter sort of thing, that is a little bit more realistic. That's a little bit more, in my opinion, immersive. And it goes back to what we were talking about at the beginning of this stream. What we want from a game, from a game design perspective, to make the setting come to life. If everything is balanced and it's just a numbers game, you're really just playing a video game, but live action. Critical Role, the video game, or whatever.
It's coming, bro. It's coming.
I'll use the example that we
Oh, I know they're developing one.
On any given night when we were at North Texas and we were in that bar restaurant area, let's say there's 30 people in there, right? If you start a fight, there is no way that you have any idea how hard that fight is going to be for you, because you don't know who's friends with who. You don't know who's the biggest badass in the room. A lot of times they don't look like the biggest badass in the room. Yeah, if you start a fight, like you could pick a fight with some guy that you think you're gonna, no problem, I'll take this guy out. Oh, he was trained by Venezuelan special forces. You are now dead. Like you have no idea what, like you're really rolling the dice, and that is just in a room with 30 dudes. Now, if you go out into the world and you start walking around with megafauna, I don't know if any of you have ever tried to fight a dog, but it is hard. Okay, like dogs are ferocious fucking things. Okay, so if you're going up against a creature the size of a horse, the idea that you're gonna know or be able to, I'll be able to take this thing, I would run away from that shit even if I was good at fighting. Now you could probably take that dog out as the little guy. I have a little guy, so that's no shade on it.
My dog has like this 16, 17 charisma. She's easy to befriend. I'm convinced if someone tried to rob my house, she'd just be like, "Oh, look, it's another one of my master's friends. Here's all his expensive stuff. It's right over here.
We have a German Shepherd.
Don't worry, he's sleeping.
We have a German Shepherd that's laying down over there. And everything you've ever heard about German Shepherds, even the weird shit, is true. They fucking mean. They don't love anybody but my wife, and they just sit at the door waiting to kill somebody who might come in.
That's right. Yeah. You never know what you're gonna get. That's the way it is. You go out into a really dangerous environment, you could run into anything. And we're talking about like an environment with fucking dragons and shit.
Yeah.
Whew.
Well, yeah.
My players ran into I think this was just my son on a solo play, or just one-on-one, not solo, but he was playing AX1, first in the series for Adventure Conquer King. What is it? Sinister Staff of Sakara, Stone of Sakara. Yeah. And he got a blue dragon baby, or a green dragon baby, went in the fucking like first encounter, because it was like a 99 or something on the encounter roll. And I was like, holy shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
He ran away.
Well,
one guy was not fast enough.
Yeah, my Lamentations game, when they got to Hamlet and they were ready to go out and explore the world, the very first hex next to Hamlet, they got ambushed by a brown bear. They were like second level, I think, and no one died, but they were able to. It failed its morale check after they did some damage, but one guy almost got mauled. He was down to 1 hit point. They literally they went 1 hex over, and then they went back to rest. And bears became the joke because every time I rolled the bear, someone would get mauled, and it was just like, please don't roll the bear. They'd rather have a cockatrice or something.
Well, Tim Short still rags on me because we did a play test of Terra Invictus back when it was an Ambition and Avarice product. And they were in a town, and he was asking, is there anything outside of town? And one of the guys told him that there was a rumor that there was a giant eagle flying around, but that was it. And so Tim was like, okay, cool. They got a horse and a wagon and all this stuff, and they headed out. And every single hex, they rolled the giant eagle. For like 3 hexes, it was somehow chasing them for 3 hexes. Like every time I rolled it randomly, and it came up again. And this giant eagle, I mean, it lived in the area, so it was prominent on the tables. But I mean, like it just kept hounding them. So now every time I'm on a stream with Tim, and he's like, "Is it a giant eagle attack?" Or
I want to give Negative Space a little love here because I think we're talking.
Yeah,
we might be.
We're talking about encounter balance, and I think he's talking about the actual game mechanics need to be balanced between players.
Yeah,
I agree with that. I don't think he's wrong that. But we're talking about encounter balance. Like you should be a first level. Well, this actually happened in Gary's game. One of our first outings. We're first level characters. Me with my 1 hit point, and all of a sudden a green dragon just. It apparently had something else better to do, but I was like, oh, yeah. Right outside of town.
Well, and this isn't. I do encourage people to make custom random encounters for areas, and that's where I was going earlier. You guys are fucked. You're about to cross the line. I just want everybody to understand. In my game, if you're watching this show, there's a line y'all are about to cross, and things are about to get more difficult. That's all. I'm backing up.
All right. We'll see what
happens. But real quick, Chubby, one of the things we don't have a lot of time left. And I want to bring it back to Shadow City. You've somehow taken, Vampire is kind of, in a lot of people's minds, I don't know if it plays this way, but in a lot of people's minds, Vampire the Masquerade is like the ultimate story game, in a way. People got so into characters that they started dressing up, and they did these things. And you've somehow, in my mind, bridged the gap between these old school games that people like me love and these themes. And I just really, I really hope people check it out. I really want people to go to the Kickstarter because I think what you've done is a little unique. Not just in the way you've done it, but in the fact that you've taken, a genre that is so steeped in that story game tradition, and you've translated it into the OSR, where you can literally play no prep if you want, or you can prep as much as you want. I'm going to start building cities. I've been looking, I'm running this West Marches game. I've been looking for my second game. And honestly, Shadow City's in the lead right now. Like as I was reading it, it was just like, this is great, and once again, I want to reiterate, we get a lot of Shadow Dark supplements, and they're great. Erudite has this great Warhorse thing he just did.
Oh, Warhorse
is rad.
Yeah, that's.
But it's kind of like building. It's Shadow Dark, right? It's more and more, and you've really taken Shadow Dark, and you've pushed it. I hope you do it more. I want this to be successful. I want to see Werewolf. I want to see Hunter. I want to see Mage.
This is going to be the new.
We're going to be plugging this game. No, Red Dead. You're going to surprise me on a birthday one day. My birthday is May 6th. I'm going to wake up and I'm going to see an announcement. I'm going to get like balloons on my phone for Gary Lewis, Chubby Funster, cowboy. But congratulations. You've done a great thing. I can't wait for people to see this and play it.
Yeah,
it's wonderful.
As kind of jumping off of that, we were talking a little bit about this earlier today, Gary and I, over text. I never played, I said this earlier, I never played Vampire. And frankly, I never had a high opinion of the game. I just thought it was too goofy. I was like the mage player. If I were to get involved, I'd be the guy playing mage, the one guy in the corner. They don't know I'm a mage, and everyone else is dancing, like the meme. I'm the mage, and they're all like, "What's up with that guy? We're just trying to have fun." But this game makes me want to play better, right? This really like is hitting all the right spots for me. Everyone should go to the Kickstarter Tuesday. I put the link again. I'll do it one more time.
Well, I wanted to build up one of the things that Gary said about bring it into the OSR. So think of it like you have a person you're going to be teaching D&D to, and you have a choice between using OSE and 5th edition D&D. You say, well, why would I choose OSE? Well, I don't have to explain anywhere near as much stuff. I don't have to worry about them being overwhelmed by the character design, right? It's got a slim character design that they can understand. We can make a character in 5 or 10 minutes. We don't have to make a character in an hour, right? We don't have to roll. I don't have to explain. Oh, you've got 15 choices here. So now I have to explain every single one of these choices so you can make a choice, right?
Grab and go, baby.
All the, whatever that barrier is that exists between that OSC, Shadow Dark, whatever classic game you're using, and 5th edition D&D, Shadow City is that for the vampire genre. You don't have to explain huge amounts of stuff to a new player. And we're not necessarily playing with new players here, but if you've got a guy who plays OSC with you, Gary, you know, him looking at a new game, the choice between a game where he has to learn very little and a game where he has to read all this stuff and start making all of these character decisions, even a veteran player, and a lot of times prefers the simple. They don't want to have to do all that.
I think
work.
veteran players, moreover, prefer rolling and just coming up with a character.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times you get to a certain point where you almost know too much, and so even if you read it, like I love Acts 2, I've read the book, but when I'm running it, I go, does the rule work like this or does it work like that? Because I have so many rules in my head, not just from Acts, but from all these other rules systems. Whereas if you have a simple design like Shadow Dark, you don't have to, like, I know how it works. It's a stat check with advantage, disadvantage. I don't have to look anything up. You know, so there's times when I really want to play that game where it's really detailed and there's a lot going in. There's times where you just want to roll up 5 vampires and go fuck up a dude for the night. You know, like that's let's go. Yeah. Let's go start a fight. Let's go get into it.
Man, you've given, when you really look at your rules from my standpoint, running this West Marches game right now, if I would have had this, I don't know that I wouldn't have said, are you guys sure you don't want to do Shadow City? Because you've given a GM every tool to build a world, make it interactive. The GM section for this really, it doesn't just help you build a world, it's practical. It's not like you need this here and you need this and this person might do this. You say these things are in your city, roll the dice, spread them out. Everything you've done is a tool that it's like something you can hold in your hand and use.
And there's my goal.
And there's no wasted
I don't want it to be a lore book.
Exactly. The lore, there is enough lore implied that whether you're a Buffy the Vampire Slayer guy or a Nosferatu or a Vampire Lestat, you can have your vampire game in this using these rules. And I know we've only got like 2 minutes left, so I just wanted to bring it back. I think you've done something really special here. I'm going to back it. Please, everybody listening, go back this. It's not a huge kind of Kickstarter. You don't have to put half a paycheck into it. You don't have to use your Shopify account. Just go do your thing, get it done, because I do want to see Werewolf. I do want to see Hunter. I want to see Mage. The GM section alone is great. I'm going to back off. Chubby, thank you for doing all the work that you do. I can't wait for this to come out and to hold a physical copy in my hand.
Thank you.
Yeah, we got 2 minutes, but and this could probably turn into a half-hour conversation, but so I'll just state it. I've heard you use this phrase a lot, cognitive load on the GM. And that certainly seems to be something you've thought a lot about. And this is the kind of thing, the city design process, the node process, which that's the thing I really like the most. Like, no offense, I was just like, oh, vampires, okay, whatever. But then I hit that part and I was like, oh my God, I could totally use this, even if I don't do vampire stuff. But like I said, I'd play a vampire game using this, because it just looks like a mad amount of fun. And with the butcher class, and I can't remember what ancestry, I can play 30 Days a Night vampires if I wanted to, and I totally would. I'd be the guy with a -7 reaction. Anyway, yeah, that's all we really have. I'm going to be backing this. I hope everyone watching is backing this. I want to say thank you to the chat for showing up. You guys have been great. I saw some new faces. Great conversation. Thank you for all the old timers who've been coming here. Our Brian, of course,
he's gonna back.
We need to hear more from you. Yeah, he's got to. So I guess I don't know.
Flint, love you, man. Disco, thanks for being here. Hey, real quick, I know it's been a hard week for everybody. With Ozzy's passing, I just want to say that I have been crying intermittently for a full week. I'm not even joking about it. Bro, you don't even know. You don't even know, man. I tried to explain to my kids what it was like back in the day. Ozzy's got a new guitar player. Holy fuck. Anyway, so that's all I want to say. Chubby, thank you for making your game. Ozzy, thank you for living while I was alive.
Yeah, I guess I want to say Ozzy got me into metal, and I was a big Hulkamaniac when I was a kid. So it's been a rough week. All my childhood heroes.
Get some rest, brother.
But yeah, no, brother. All right. With that said, I think our watch has ended. Chubby, thanks for being on. Chat, you guys have been great. We will see you next week, where we're going to have a panel discussion with Flint, with Erudite DM, Dying Breed. We're going to talk, and Brian,
Gold Star panel.
And we're going to be talking about the bad advice we've gotten as game masters. It's going to be a good show next week. Yeah.
Hey, man. Hey,
so,
Chubby,
all right.
It was great to talk to you. Love you, brother.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Take it easy.
Don't go to sleep, brother.
Dude, get up. I think I heard